What does it matter whether I celebrate holidays?
99% of the people who do Halloween today, they don't associate this with any kind of religion. And kids, for them, Halloween is fun, it's candy. Actually, good number of Muslims who have a Christmas tree. For me, it was shocking. Can I say to somebody, Merry Christmas? Something clearly against our beliefs, clearly it is haram, clearly it is problematic for us as Muslims.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our newest episode of the AlMaghrib Podcast. And inshallah, you'll be able to find this podcast everywhere that you get your podcasts. We have the holiday season episode. We're in October right now, which means Halloween is around the corner, and then we're going to jump right into Thanksgiving, and then it's Christmas, and then it's New Year. Whether you're in your working environment or whether it's your kids in school, these are questions that constantly come up every year. And alhamdulillah, we have Dr. Waleed Basyouni, our Shaykh and the President of AlMaghrib and one of the members of the Senior Fatwa Committee of AMJA that is here to answer these questions. And we had a wonderful discussion. I want to encourage you and thank you for your support of the AlMaghrib Podcast and AlMaghrib's YouTube channel. And please do remember to continue to subscribe and to like and to share this content with others. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sheikh Waleed, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's nice.
Alhamdulillah, Shaykh Waleed, for everybody who's joining us, is the President of AlMaghrib. He is one of the senior members of the Fatwa Committee, the Permanent Fatwa Committee for the American Muslim Jurists Association, AMJA, one of our most celebrated fiqh bodies here in the United States. And you've been part of this committee for over 20 years. And so, as well as being an imam and the founder and president of Clear Lake Islamic Center, and so Shaykh Waleed has a wide variety of experience with regards to question and answers and dealing with current day fatwas. As well, Shaykh, you grew up in Saudi Arabia under the tutelage of some of the world's greatest scholars at that time, Shaykh bin Baz, the Grand Mufti of Saudi Arabia, rahimahullah, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, Shaykh Al-Afifi, and others, as well as holding a PhD in theology, as well as having studied at Imam Muhammad University. So you're as credentialed as it comes when it comes to this issue. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. We're happy to have you, as well as, of course, being the president of AlMaghrib and someone who is really one of the leaders of dawah here in the United States, president of and founder of Texas Dawah Convention as well. And so whether it's grassroots or whether it's academics, you're very, very present, and we're happy to have you on the podcast for this topic. Hayakallah Shaykhna. So we're gonna get right into it. We're in October. We're jumping into the holiday season, and this is questions that appear every year. But I'd like to just begin with the idea of holidays in Islam. People might ask right from the get-go, like, what does it matter whether I celebrate holidays? We have the Prophet ﷺ, of course, who said that Allah has replaced us with better holidays than the holidays that the people of Medina were celebrating. And so just the idea of, does Islam restrict holidays? And if so, what's the purpose of that?
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu rasulullah. Holidays in Islam there's two aspects or two types of holidays.
Yeah.
One which is a religious holiday, which is associated with rituals, active worships, and certain specific of actions. It has to be honored, respected, celebrated, never neglected. And the ultimate manifestation of these holidays will be Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, which is the two holidays that we have, two Eids we have. And that's why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, these are the two Eids that we have.
Yeah.
The utmost religious holidays that we celebrate. Otherwise, we know Arafah is a Eid too. And we know that Ashura is a Eid that comes every year. We celebrate it by fasting. Jum'ah is a Eid that we celebrate every week as well. But it's not like the Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr when every Muslims will celebrate, every individual will be encouraged to participate in these two Eids. With a certain format, with a certain celebrations. And that's why I will say it is so important to keep that uniqueness of these two Eid exists in our life.
What do you mean by uniqueness? What's
Like it has to be very special.
okay?
Yeah, just to be practical. Sometimes my kids will say, "Oh, I want this for my birthday as a gift."
Yeah.
I said, "No, I get it free and eat." So automatically my kids start associating Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, that's where the big gifts are,
Okay.
not my birthday.
Yeah.
And that's where you keep Eid al-Fitr, there's something so special. And that's what the Sharia intend to be, to make it so special, so unique. That's why I always say it is so important to make Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr celebration very unique and very special in the mind and heart of Muslims.
You know, Sheikh, I did a survey once just from the get-go, and I asked Muslims their honest assessment. Which holidays are the most fun? Which holidays? And for sure, the number one was Christmas. Christmas has everything. It has colors. Like everybody knows the colors of Christmas. It's red and green. Everybody knows the songs of Christmas. As soon as December hits, all of the songs start everywhere. Everyone knows the candies of Christmas. And obviously there's the tree, and then there's the gifts and all of the, and then I don't remember, I think number two was Halloween. Halloween is a lot of fun. Like, we're just going to be honest from the get-go. There's candy, we know the colors of Halloween also, it's orange and black. And then these are Muslims who are asking. Eid was like number 4 or 5. And it's,
It's sad.
Yeah, it's something that we have to work on.
But also, we have to understand our celebration as a Muslim have a different dimension. Muslims, their hearts attached to the akhirah, not to the dunya. That's why when we celebrate the salvation of Musa alayhi salam, it was through fasting. So celebration for Eid al-Adha through dhikr and salah, and that's an essential part. Also, it's important for us not to be, forget about, I don't want Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr to empty it from the essence of it, which is
The worship of Allah.
Worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is the takbir, the tasbih, the tahleel. Yes, there is fun and eating and stuff like that, but we have to also not to lose the essence of it. Because if you look at the celebrations in Christianity, for example, it became more and more of a culture, have nothing to do with religion at all.
Yeah.
And that's something that we don't want to happen in our religion.
That's really important reframing, Sheikh, because even when you said to me just now, you said like Arafah is a holiday for us, Jum'ah is a holiday for us. I was thinking to myself, like, how is it a holiday? Like, what do we do on Arafah? We just fast and then we break our fast. But you're absolutely right. If the goal of it being celebrated is ibadah, then it's absolutely a holiday. But we kind of, even without knowing, might have secularized these and commercialized what we expect of a holiday.
Yes. So going back to the original concept of holidays in Islam, then you have holidays or celebrating days, which has nothing to do with religious rituals, or it's not necessarily mentioned in Sharia. And we call this in Arabic Eid because it comes back in the same time or the same practice, you're repeating it. And part of that has to do with the culture of people. So, for example, the Arab every year they will celebrate Suq Ukab. They will come in a place where the market happen, and they come and celebrate that. And there's type of celebration. What celebrate means?
So Suq al-Aqab was a festival that happened at a marketplace.
At a marketplace, they come and to gather poetry or recited, and so forth. People remember there is a memory of the conquered of the city or the Battle of Badr, or there is no ritual associated with that. There is no adding ritual, but it's recognized that this is the day of that, but there is no ibadah associated with this. So in any case, many other cultures have their own celebrations and stuff like that exist as well. So we must differentiate between things that it has a ritual or any kind of act of worship associated with. Or we take something that has no ritual, but we treated it as if it is a ritual act, as if it is part of the religion. Yani, for example, let's say a birthday, somebody's birthday.
Yeah.
If I start treating it, you know what? It cannot be day before or day after. It has to be done in this way. It has to be done in this specific format. In Eid al-Adha, you cannot say, you know what, let's just not pray this year. Not make the salah in the night. Let's make khutbah different. You can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just something specific. You have to go by this order, by this date. You cannot delay it. You cannot change it. The same thing, if you start treating any day, any events in the same manner, you know what? You cannot have a conference if it's not in the 23rd of December.
Yeah.
Otherwise, conference will not be valid, will not be right, will not be correct. No, I can make it 22nd. I can make it 21st. It depends on it's not, I'm not choosing that date for itself, for this order for itself. If I start treating it this way, even if there is no ritual in it, it became haram. And that's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam only 2 Eids in Islam. We only treat a specific occasions or any occasion to put it with certain rules and restrictions, and it's unchangeable. Cannot change it, cannot be treated any different way, except the Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr.
Okay.
So, but if you try to apply this to any other thing and you start treating the way you treat Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, will become haram and not allowed. I think that's a very balanced way of seeing the concept of holidays and Eid in general in Sharia, which is, in my opinion, accommodate the opinion that said only we have to Eid and every other
because that
celebrations is not recognized. And also the people who open the door and we start have the Mawlid of the birthday of Prophet, birthday of Hussein, birthday of this, and every day become a celebration, cannot be missed, has to be, there's a certain ritual has to be associated with it. And you can open the door for so many other things as well.
So Sheikh, the first group would basically ban everything, including secular holidays, Independence Day of any country, any sort of celebration, and obviously birthdays and anniversaries and things of that nature. So then what you're saying then is based on your position here that birthdays would be okay, anniversaries would be okay, as long, even if that person, birthday happens on the same day every single year, but that would still be okay because there's no particular ritual tied to it?
Or there is no belief that it has to be that day. So what if
sometimes people celebrate the birthday on the weekends, for example.
The weekend. It's not like, okay, you know what, or you know what, it has to be a cake. It has to blow the candle.
As they get older, they change whatever it is.
People when get older, they don't really care about it. It has to be a certain formula. It has to be certain words and like a ritual to be done or certain practices to be done. If we start treating it this way, in my opinion, it became haram and not allowed.
Okay. So we've jumped into birthdays and anniversaries somehow, but let's move on, Sheikh, towards Halloween. So Halloween is one of the most, I don't know if there's any particular religious connotation that the average person thinks of. When they think of Halloween, they're not thinking of anything religious per se. They're thinking of dressing up in costumes, and they're thinking of maybe getting candy if they're kids. What would the ruling then be on Halloween?
So Halloween, I'll be honest with you, it is one of the most difficult holiday for me to have a very solid opinion about.
Allahu Akbar. Okay.
And it took me a long time of thinking, and many times I refrain from sharing even a position about it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that the AlMaghrib Podcast is where you're sharing an opinion about it.
Yeah, I shared recently, Jenny, in different platforms, talk about it as well. But I'm putting this introduction to understand, for me, it is not like this particular one. It's not like a clear cut, clear cut haram, clear cut allowed,
Okay.
Because, why? First of all, because Halloween, as you said, when you talk about Halloween as a celebration today, nobody associate Halloween, not nobody, any 99% of the people who do Halloween today, they don't associate this with any kind of religion background or religious background. It is mainly for fun, for candy, for just silly stuff that they do. And with this in consideration, the other argument would say, no, this Halloween originally has a religious roots into it. And that religious root goes all the way to the
Celtics, yeah.
Celtic and the Irish and Old English, culture like groups and religious that is basically in the Iron Age or medieval time, where they used to do pagan practices and things of that nature. And it used to be at the 31st of October, because for them that was the day where, for them, like the world is light and dark. So that's the end of the light and the kind of the dark, because it's the end of the summer and spring, and that's the summer and now the winter. So that's the dark.
Yep.
And they said in that day, the barrier between the dark and the light became blurry, and that's why also a lot of souls comes to visit people. So that's why they used to put these fire, scary images to keep the bad
spirits
away, and the good spirits come and eat with their family, join family at homes. This whole entire idea.
Yeah.
When Christianity came, I think it's the 7th century, something like that, the Christianity, they have a celebration it's called All Saint Day and All
Hallows Eve.
All Hallows Eve.
And All Saints Day, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that used to be November 1st, then there's November 2nd, there's another thing. So it was originally actually in May. They moved it to these particular days to replace and to change the pagan practices that exist to associate it with Christianity.
That happened a lot with Christianity, that they would absorb the local pagan customs.
To change them for the intent of, let's change them. And I think that's historically something interesting for us to know, the wisdom in Sharia when it says not to celebrate any religious or to associate ourselves with any religious celebrations, because of the kind of be blurry and things can be mixed up.
Yep.
And that's why when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when a man said, Ya Rasulullah, I made a nether to slaughter this camel in this place, he said, Afiha wathanun yu'bad? Just Afiha Eid, it has idol with worship. It was Eid for them. It's a place of celebration, recognized as a special place for them. He said, no. So that question shows, if it is, you're not allowed to do, because you don't want that to be mixed, and Sharia cares so much about this, not to mix the Islamic ritual with non-Islamic ritual. So anyway, going back to this area. So that was trying to transformation for it. But even with this, today, a lot of Christians, they don't associate Halloween with any Christian background. It's for 31st October.
Sure.
Nor pagans. So if this is something was celebrated in the past and not anymore, some practice was haram in the past, and now in modern days is not haram at all, people change completely. The culture completely shifted.
Yeah.
Do I still give it to the same rule of the past or not?
No.
Not necessarily like 100% no, not 100% yes.
Okay.
I have to look at the issue itself. If the Sharia have a specific ruling related to it, okay? Like identify this as haram, identify this as wajib, identify this as you are allowed or not allowed to do, it remain even if the culture change.
Okay.
Like for instance, Sharia criticized Fir'aun wa Haman. But no, today, no Asian believes. Can I do some pharaoh practices or call somebody Fir'aun? No, not allowed, because that name specifically in Sharia became a symbolic for something in Sharia. Dhulm, injustice, you cannot, even if the culture changes.
I'm Egyptian and I want to celebrate the ancient Egyptian culture that I have and all of that. I still can't.
It depends what you mean by celebrating.
Pharaonic. Okay.
But it's still, the name Fir'aun is haram.
I want to name my soccer team Fir'aun or something like that. Fara'ina.
No, not allowed. And it's not like that. Basically, that became a symbolic, in Sharia, it is something that it is known as something evil and bad. The same thing, for example, of the Sharia, in Fiqh, for example, we know that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he made the sa'i between the Safa and Marwa, he said to the Sahaba to show the right shoulder. He said, I want the mushrikeen to show that you're strong and young. But no mushrikeen today watch it.
Yeah.
Should we cancel this? No, because the Sharia order us to do that. The running. So that rule has to remain. We don't say since the circumstances change, we just change the rule. He said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, أعفوا اللحى خالفوا اليهود والنصارى. In that time, might be the practice that they're religious or they don't grow beard, and then the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam be the opposite, grow their beard. But what if they now grow beard? Do we shave it? No.
Yeah.
Because that became a hukum, a ruling that's established in Sharia.
In and of itself is a ruling now.
We don't have in it in itself something specifically about this particular day to say haram to celebrate. Okay? And I cannot just establish the prohibition of celebrating the 30 or participating in fun activity on the 31st of October because in some way in the past they used to consider it a pagan belief.
So,
give you another example just to make things more effective. I heard Shaykhna Allah Shaykh Bakr Abu Zayd argue that tie is haram.
Yeah.
And I think Shaykh Al-Albani also mentioned something like that. Why? He said because in the old days, tie, it was a type of shawl that the soldier will have, and the priest will put it in certain way to represent Trinity.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that time, but tie today, nobody ever associate that with Trinity. Nobody ever think that. Even if historically that's correct, nobody can say that this is, when you look at tie, you don't associate that at all. The association completely
has been dismembered or cut off.
Cut off.
Absolutely.
Beads, subha.
The
Nobody
rosary
connect
beads.
this to the Buddhist monks.
Yeah.
And Buddhist Christians, they said, took it from Buddhist. And Christian rosary,
yeah.
And Muslim took it from, nobody today, when they use this among the Muslims,
thinks of it like
thinks of that like that. So the connection is completely cut off. So in my opinion, it's very hard to say because this originally blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Unless this Islamically said this particular practice is haram, it's not.
Sheikh, the famous example of that is Nike. Nike, the name Nike is named after the Greek goddess of victory.
Yeah.
But 0% of people connect that name to that idol that used to be worshipped.
One sister, her name Denise, she told me that somebody told her, haram, your name is haram. Why? Because Denise is one of the Greek gods.
I see.
It's nobody ever exists to that. And unless we have something in Sharia saying that this particular practice, this particular day, this particular thing, you're not allowed to do this or allowed to do that, okay, we keep it. But nothing, it's changed by the changing of the culture. So going back, so that's the aspect of, is this day, Halloween, related really to a religious entity or religious practice or not? For the longest time, I always think, no, it's not. Because I don't see anybody doing this. Until I was talking with Shaykh Ammar about this a few years back. And he was telling me, Shaykh Waleed, no, still there is people practice this.
Yeah.
As
Wiccans,
as a pagan, rituals, and they believe in that. And there is people until today celebrated it this way. Yes, they are very, very, very small group, but still exist. So the claim that does not exist and cut off completely, like the Greek.
They call it the day of Samhain. It's a day where they worship.
Yeah. So that's what led me to say, what? That's where the confusion for me came. So that's why I would say it still have some religious connections, so you should not celebrate. Let's assume there is no connection. Let's look at Halloween in itself as a practice of a non-Muslims.
Sheikh, even
this
before
is
that,
not a culture of Muslim at all.
yeah, but just even before that, Sheikh, like when you say, or when we say that there's a very few amount of people who practice, like at what point does it become so small that it becomes insignificant? Does it require that they completely nobody on earth practices it? Or what if it's 1,000? What if it's 10,000? What if it's 50,000 people on earth?
I think it will be different from one country to another.
Okay.
So if I live in a country and there's people celebrate that or do this, will be different than I live in a country who have no clue that this even exists. So that's how it'll be the case. So, let's not jump to the conclusion. I'm just trying to explain to you and to the viewer why this took a lot of thinking from me.
Yeah.
Let's assume there's no religious connections.
Sure.
At least right now, in the modern days. Let's look at it itself. Okay, for non-Muslims practices, for non-Muslims holidays, what's our position from it? Any non-Muslim practice or holiday, which is not religious, we look at it. If it contains something mubah, it is mubah. If it contains something permissible, it's permissible. Contains something bad, it's bad. Haram, it's haram. We will look at Halloween. What's the message of Halloween? Yes, it's candy and fun and stuff like that.
Demons, goblins,
but
monsters.
also there is a lot of messages in it, un-Islamic.
Yeah.
Which is the concept of demons killing and
Witches,
violence,
magic,
and begging for food. There is risk. In 1930s, there was a whole entire movement in America to ban Halloween, and there is books written about trick and treat, because the concept of treat became, actually a tricking kids and tricking people.
putting
and
dangerous things in the food.
Yes, and people killed, and a lot of awareness were made about that. That's why a lot of churches, they don't celebrate Halloween. A lot of Christians, ban their members from celebrating Halloween, and it's a very significant number of Christians actually, oppose that. Religious practice in Christians churches in the world. Anyway, if we look at the messages of that carry by witches and demons and are these something in Islam recognized as something good? No. And also it carry messages that is unacceptable. And I always say, it's very ironic. Can you imagine, Shaykh Ammar, if Eid al-Adha and Eid al-Fitr, we go to Eid and we dress our kids with monsters and knife and cut off hand and blood and stuff like that. What the world will say about Muslims?
You say we're super evil and
super
dark.
terrorist, evil, bloodthirst,
Yeah.
But for Western, it is fun.
Of course.
But for us, it's you're unbelievable.
Barbaric.
How can you teach your kids that? But I see a kid walking in the street in Halloween having heads on his hand, what kind of message
Decapitated,
is that? If Muslim kids will do that, they will call him ISIS.
Of course.
So it just completely double standard,
Yeah.
And I think it is bad thing. That's not good scene for kids. So the message for it, it is bad. And the message it carries is not good. The whole concept of going and asking people and begging people for food and stuff like that, for candy, it's not something recognized to be something encouraged, at least.
Okay.
So from that perspective, I have confidence on something that should not be celebrated by Muslims. Okay? And it's not correct. From that perspective, it's clear to me. But you might say, what if somebody celebrate Halloween without any costume that involve things like that? Just
their
candies.
Costumes are nice
just
costumes.
a butterfly or a bee or or a fighter or something like that.
Exactly.
Would be that. Okay. So we'll say that will drag us back to the concept of, it is not part of our culture as Muslims, and I don't think Muslims should celebrate Halloween.
Sheikh,
I
when you
don't
say
think I
yeah,
don't think Muslims should be part of that celebrating of Halloween. It just does not send the right message, and there is no need for us to, look into this in a way that I have to adjust it to fit in. But with this being said, I think the bottom line of this discussion, people treat Halloween in the same way they treat, for example, celebrating a very clear theological, like
Christmas.
for example, like the rise of Jesus, or like the
Easter.
crucified Jesus, like something clearly against our beliefs. Clearly, it is haram. Clearly, it is, theological problematic for us as Muslims. I think this is not as bad as it is the other one. But I do believe in the bottom line is not allowed. I do believe that there is association with certain belief that's not correct, like demons coming in to hunt people and stuff like
Sure.
that. No, we believe it as Muslim. There is evil demons spread,
So
and
you're not
like,
trying to dress up like one and
yeah,
celebrate it and make it look cool.
but for you to celebrate also the concept, which is like as something that is cool, and like,
Sure.
or protecting yourself from evil through fire and stuff like that. That's not how Muslim should address this concept. There is a lot of mixed messages in the mind of our kids that it's not good. That's why we should not encourage our kids to do that. We should have a conversation about them.
But Sheikh, when you say that it's not part of Muslim culture, we've already categorized Halloween as being non-religious. So it shouldn't matter whether it's part of Muslim culture or not, because Muslims are American culture. That's their culture. They're not looking at it through the religious lens anymore. They're looking at it through the cultural lens. Do you see? So
Yeah,
it's like just like
I
Thanksgiving
think
isn't part of
Muslim
Muslim culture.
Americans have a unique culture. It's mixed, but with American culture and Islamic culture as well. And I don't think Halloween free 100% from the religious connotations, because
Okay.
there is still religious connotation as associated with it, even if
Sure.
it's not about worshiping idols or satanic worshippers or like practices, but there is still religious concepts. Religious concept, it means something has to do with the world of unseen, and part of that the demons and the souls and all this part of i'tiqad, part of
Your belief, yeah.
the belief system. So it is associated with it, but not in the degree of celebrating crucifixion or celebrating, a Buddhist birthday, or like salvations, or going to an idol to worship, or to, celebrate something of that nature.
Of course.
And there is one aspect of the issue of Halloween I think it is so important for our audience to keep in mind. So I think you kind of alluded to it. When it comes, this is a discussion between adults.
Sure.
But when it comes to discussion with kids,
Yeah.
it's a completely different story.
Of course.
Kids, their attachment to Halloween is an emotional attachment. It's not a theological attachment. And kids, for them, Halloween is fun, it's candy.
Absolutely.
So you can't just come and say, Islam said it's haram. What you going to do? Islam associated with no fun, no candy.
Yeah.
That's how it will be heard. So you have to be careful how we talk to our kids about this. Just lecturing them, it's a pagan belief. Your kid who was like in elementary school said, pagan, what word are you coming
Yeah.
from?
What does pagan mean?
What is this? Nobody worships that. What spirits you talking about? They're not going to have
He wants to be Spider-Man, and he wants to then go and get some candy from some neighbors.
And I think a lot of our kids have this hunger, and that it's a natural thing to have fun and costumes and stuff like that fun. But I think if we work during the year in fulfilling our kids' need, of the fun, of the activities, of the fun things for them,
Making
and
Eid special
make
for them.
Eid specials, even make days they can wear costumes and stuff like that, and other days, as long as met because even in costume clothes, there's certain guidelines in Sharia for it. But even if they do that, when it comes, it's not something, oh, I did this a month ago, 2 months ago. And I think for Muslims who live in America, and that's where the culture comes, they need to do this more than a Muslim who live outside America or outside a country where Halloween is very visible.
Of course.
Because they need to fulfill that need of this type of fun. So when it comes, they don't feel like, I'm deprived from that. I already had that. I already have something like this.
Sheikh, Eid in the Muslim world is fun. Eid in the Muslim world is incredible. Like the families, the meat that you eat, Ramadan is just such a season in the Muslim world. And so I agree 100% that if you're living with your family in non-Muslim countries, then you have to overcompensate for the fact that they're surrounded with societies where they're a minority, and so you have to figure that out. Sheikh, what about people who are? So we're kind of grading Halloween as less problematic than some of the others that we're going to get to.
Still not allowed to celebrating initiated. To be,
Excellent.
what we do in the Masjid, the Halloween,
but I want to put now your fatwa hat on, the AMJA hat, so to speak, and now I'm someone who's working in my company, and the team leader says, the manager says, hey guys, the team together, we're all on Friday, we're all dressing up and we're putting on our costumes. What am I doing in that moment? Am I saying, you know what, Shaykh Waleed kind of said that it's less problematic, so or what do I do?
And do you want to put a costume to come in
you
the
could
day?
be smart on Jummah and say, okay, I'm gonna dress up as a mufti and I'm gonna come in my thobe and my, or figure something else like that.
In the day of the Halloween?
Yeah, on the day of Halloween, on Halloween day, that everybody in the company is dressing up. Everybody's so what am I doing then?
I wouldn't participate.
I'm getting a religious exemption.
Yeah, I wouldn't participate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then, how about this?
Same thing as school for kids.
Same thing as school. I'm not dressing up for Halloween. Okay. Now, Sheikh, I'm at home, and I know you said to
But I have to compensate for that.
What do you mean?
For the kids. I have to make sure that they have other funds. I have to make sure, but let's say, I found that this will have a great deal of negative impact on my kids.
Or my work.
On my work. I don't think it's one of the major harms. It's one of even if it is in the category of haram, it will be in the lower category, just from sagha'ir al-dhunub,
minor sins.
The minors, like what I think the importance of this conversation is, don't treat it like kufr and shirk, and like some people bring all what Ibn al-Qayyim said it's worse than drinking al-khamr and eating pork, and like putting all this together as, this is like saying, and you will become one of the kuffar if
congratulating
you do it,
somebody on a
and like treating
holiday.
It like I know people in my community celebrate and go dress up and go on the street. I don't have and I don't do that, but I'm not gonna get out of my way to say, no, this is haram and wrong. Just take it
Chef, I don't say this. This is a really important topic, which is being able to differentiate between things that are kufr versus being able to differentiate between things that are major sins, and being able to differentiate between things that are minor sins, because a lot of times our community just speaks about everything like it's major. And that's not to belittle minor sins. We're not trying to make minor sins insignificant. But at the same time, there are certain things that just living in the real world, you're going to be exposed to.
You have to make that choice between lesser evil, and how can you make lesser evil and more benefit? Yeah. It's based on these categorization. Even minor sins are not the same.
For and minor sins get purified by your wudu, by your salah, by
nobody
gets purified throughout the day.
Immune from it. For me, I'll be honest. Like somebody go and wear a costume, as long as this costume, because it can multiply. If it's costume that it's haram in itself, that's one sin. It's a celebration, it's a thing. If I believe in it, another thing. It adds up, But if it's less and less and less and less, just what, I'm dressing. My kids going to the firefighter in the school, and you know what? I don't think my kids can understand that right now, or you know what?
Sure.
That's your call. If you do it, just make sure that you, especially kids are not mukallaf anyway. You know, it's not going to be sin
They're
for
not held
him.
accountable.
But for the parents, you know, you try to explain. But if you have to make that call to say, you know what, I'm going to allow it or not allow it, you have to understand where is this fits. Is it like that high? Is it so serious? Because you have to choose your battle wisely also.
Yeah.
With your kids.
Sheikh, you said to not give lectures to your kids about, you know, the essence of Halloween and paganism if they can't understand it. Should I give those lectures to other people's kids? Now, on Halloween, there's a number of options. There's a number of madhabs that happen. Number one is, you know what? We're not celebrating Halloween, but we're going to have candy for the kids who come knocking on my door. The other is, I'm not going to have candy for them, and I'm going to have dawah pamphlets on Islam to give them, and I'll teach them about Tawheed when I give them when I don't give them the candy, and that's obviously going to get my house egged. And then number three, the last option is that I pretend I'm not home. I turn off the lights. Whoever knocks on the door, there's nobody home. Which of the three do you support?
First of all, I just feel so bad for those who are terrified in Halloween. They turn off the light and the whole house will be in alert. No lights, no noise.
No
just
noise,
so
nothing,
you know, I don't want any. Why you have to live in fear and like scare and stuff like that?
Well, they're not afraid. They just don't want to interact with these people.
Why? Just chill, man.
Yeah.
You know, I hate when I see people feel like your kids will feel like we're not normal.
Yeah.
Be normal. If you don't celebrate Halloween, I don't celebrate Halloween.
Okay.
By the way, alhamdulillah, by the day, a lot of Americans in neighborhoods understand that today. When they don't see light, like decoration and stuff like that, they're gonna knock on your door. And they knock on your door and say, hey kids, sorry, it's trick. There's no I don't have any candies.
Yeah.
So just easy, man. You don't want to answer the door, don't answer the door. You know, but you don't need to make your family live in stress. I genuinely remember some people stress out about this, and it's like a big deal for them. You know, just chill. There's nothing like you can give. If you don't do it, just say I don't.
Should I give them dawah pamphlets?
Okay, that's the worst thing to do. You know, I'm sorry. You know, people coming for candy and you're giving them lecture about Islam and pamphlet about Islam.
I'll give them a CD and then tell them what a CD is, and then give them a CD player as well.
I'm worried that this will even became صد عن سبيل الله. And I'm worried that this has blocked people from Islam, hate Islam. SubhanAllah, yani Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu was asked about, do I have to give advice to everyone I see doing something wrong? Ibn Abbas said, no. Allah said in the Quran, وَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَ. You only give reminder
if it benefits.
or advice when you think it will be beneficial, it will be effective.
Yeah.
If it's not, don't. So, you know what? That's not the time of it. That's not the time to give any thought. As for, do I give them candy or not? So, here I differentiate between two things. Somebody will go intentionally buy candy to give it to them.
Okay.
That's, in my opinion, not right. Because that's participating in celebrating Halloween with them.
Okay.
And Fuqaha, rahimahullah, ironically talk about this, about some of A'yad al-Mushrikeen, Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah, and others.
Some of the holidays of the
Some of the
pagans.
holiday in the time, the old, like medieval time. So the Muslims talk about, I'm allowed to buy meat and vegetables and fruits and give it to them when they come. And they said no, because that's a form of celebration. Okay, so for me to buy specifically candy just to give it or to put it outside for them, I wouldn't do that. But if they come and I have candy in my house, you can give them the candy.
Whatever I have. It's almost like this is a person who's just asking me at my door.
Exactly.
And so I'm giving them from what I have.
I have a candy, no problem. You know, it is allowed for me to do that. But for you to go buy the specific pot or like containers, like a Halloween, and you put it outside, that's, in my opinion, a form of celebrating the Halloween. And I wouldn't do that. I would not advise a person to do that.
Last question, Sheikh, about Halloween. The celebration of some of the imagery of Halloween, in the sense of, it's all pumpkin season. Do you see any issue with people going and buying pumpkin spice this, pumpkin spice that, going to pumpkin patches, like just all of those types of things?
Man, I like pumpkin chai lattes in the
Oh,
season. Just
mashallah.
don't even go there. But no, there is nothing wrong with that. And Imam Malik rahimahullah said, is it allowed for me to go to the Christian celebration when they have food and festival and eat from there? He said, no, لا بأس بذلك.
Okay.
So there is nothing wrong with that. The default rule is it's hell, you know. But if you buy a pumpkin and you start crafting it like with a scary
jack-o'-lantern,
looking, you know, put it outside, that's imitating and
So there's no problem even with going and buying all of this Halloween candy during the season.
no. But I'll advise you to buy it after the season because it's cheaper.
Smart, inshallah. No, that's smart. Sheikh, so moving on from Halloween, another major holiday that's continuing to grow in the U.S. is Diwali. And that idea of, again, just buying, or not buying, but receiving gifts from your Hindu coworkers, your Hindu neighbors, is that allowed?
Receiving gifts from your Hindu workers or anyone, yes. النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أهدي إليه سخاء شعير, like he was giving صلى الله عليه وسلم a gift of something made of barley from a mushrik, and he ate it صلى الله عليه وسلم, as long as not meat, you know.
What if because I think one of the fears is that they pray over it. So they pray over these even vegetarian platters.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't make it haram, because the original rules that all this halal.
Sure.
In order for you to say it's haram, you need a proof, and there is no proof to say that. The only proof we have in Sharia is to say it's haram if it is slaughtered, if it's a meat. That, and you name other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over it. But other than that, no, it is.
So if a person prays over a dish, I guess that's a good question. Even, for example, a lot of Christian meals, right? They'll say grace and they'll pray over it. Does that make that food haram to eat? And the answer is no.
Yeah, so I was going to say the Christians do that, pray for it, and, you know, rabbis, and they pray over the meat, and not the meat, the food, and wouldn't make it haram for us to eat.
Yeah, I guess with the rabbis, people don't have an issue because they assume that they're muwahideen, and they're just praying to God, as opposed to the Christians praying to Jesus or anybody else. So
I mean, shirk and kufr have different formats. They still not. They still have a lot of form of shirk as well.
Okay.
So
for another podcast, inshallah. So then we have jumping into Thanksgiving, Sheikh. Thanksgiving is pretty much a secular holiday. I mean, it might have had religious beginnings, just that attitude of gratitude to God. But now it's almost thought of just as a time when family gets together and people have gratitude for what they have before killing each other on Black Friday for things that they want. So what's your thoughts on Thanksgiving?
So Thanksgiving, I think we have to recognize that there is a growing significant number of people who Thanksgiving for them is also a reminder of horrific things happen historically to Native Americans and Indians and all the things that happen in history.
Yeah.
And I recognize that pain. I recognize that something happened in the past, and it's something that we should learn from it. We don't need to live in the shadow of it for the rest of our life. But I understand that. I understand some people coming from that pain. So that has to be said. But for me, that doesn't mean that Thanksgiving today has to live in the shadow of that historical, events that took place before. Because also Thanksgiving was a celebration for being grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's something Islamically correct. And that's part of the culture that Islam recognizes. A culture of others that Islam recognizes. Yeah, and being grateful and thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the blessings that you have. And also there is another thing, which is more apparent in America today and Western, because America, we're the one who celebrate Thanksgiving, and in Canada as well. It's the issue of that's an opportunity for family to come together more than anything else even.
Yep.
And that's something well needed in modern days. The family connections. I know a lot of families, so through in-laws and stuff like that, non-Muslims, the only time really they gather in Thanksgiving, they see each other and they talk. So that's that concept itself is something of virtue, something we should encourage as Muslim, we should support. So again, I will differentiate between someone living in Egypt will celebrate Thanksgiving.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? That's for me, the only you're doing is imitating.
Okay.
And it's not be right. But somebody living in America and it became part of the culture, part of the, especially if you have non-Muslims, family members and people who are in your co-workers and...
Well, Sheikh, a lot of Muslim families who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, like it's become
Absolutely.
very much part of...
I mean, in America,
Yeah.
it became, but they're not necessarily doing it like, because I have some relatives, non-Muslims, I've seen how they do Thanksgiving. Yeah, and I see Muslim how they do things. It's very different. Like when it comes to a lot of like just American family, when they will have the turkey, they will have the food, and they will have some activity, and this activity and games sometimes, and all that around, mention something they're grateful for, thankful for, what happened to you. There's still that spirit exists, which is, I think, that should be encouraged. And I think that's something positive. Even those people, not necessarily religious people, who go regularly to church or anything like that.
Gratitude, yeah.
But it's about gratitude, connecting them to God, connecting them to something bigger than just, themselves. That, in my opinion, push back toward that atheism wave that we have in the world today, bringing back some moral issue, in my opinion, important for society to have family connections, being together, even a lot of people like kind of reconciliations, and people who don't talk to each other come back to speak to one another again, and so forth. So for me, I have no problem if somebody have a non-Muslim family who doing Thanksgiving to do it. No problem at workplace to do it for coworker who that's part of their culture. That's part of what they do. Let's say there is an American people.
You keep qualifying it with if they have non-Muslim family members. What if I don't have non-Muslim family members? It's my Sudanese family, and somebody says, "Hey, let's have Thanksgiving. Let's celebrate Thanksgiving this week." It's my Pakistani family, and we're celebrating Thanksgiving. Any issues with that?
Yeah, but that's not part of your culture unless you are living long enough in America and you
Sheikh, people have been born and raised in America.
What do you mean by celebrating? You're gonna bring like a turkey and family come
turkey.
together? That's fine.
They don't even eat turkey, Sheikh, outside of Thanksgiving. These are biryani eating, goat and chicken and beef.
I'm wondering how biryani turkey will look like.
And then they're bringing...
There's any biryani turkey?
I don't know, Sheikh. Guys, they'll let us know in the comments. Let us know if you've ever had turkey on Thanksgiving or not. But what do you think, Sheikh?
I don't think it's haram.
Okay. But you wouldn't be inclined towards that. You wouldn't suggest that.
No.
Or you'd suggest perhaps just making it different. So don't bring a turkey if that's not part of your culture.
No, you can bring turkey. You can bring whatever you want. But
Sheikh, I feel like turkey is very specific. You know how you said earlier, like that you don't imitate.
I said you can, but you don't have to.
What?
You can eat turkey. You can do whatever, but you don't have to.
I feel like turkey, again, when you talk about how these things become very ritualistic, like you have to have this and you have to have this, I feel like there's no reason for turkey at all in Thanksgiving other than it's just a very specific aspect of
I think the reason for people to do turkey because of the price, it
becomes very cheap.
Meal. For some reason, turkey only Thanksgiving.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point, is that nobody ever eats nobody eats turkey outside of Thanksgiving.
So, I mean, I would not be saying haram or not allowed. That's very hard. You need a proof for that.
No, I'm not saying haram, but just the idea of...
I not necessarily I will encourage it. I will, some years I'll do it, some years I'm not going to do it. But it's not for me like a red line that I'm crossing. Like, let's say with my family, You know,
If you want to have a turkey one year, it's fine.
fine. I will not be strict about that.
Okay. So then we're now to the mother of holidays, Christmas. There's a lot to say, Sheikh, about Christmas, but it seems like it's something that is becoming more secular every year. You have these movements, keep the Christ in Christmas, and at the same time, you have a lot of Muslims. I don't want to say a lot of Muslims, but that's also a trend that's continuing to grow. Christmas trees in the house, gifts. What do you think is allowed when it comes to Christmas?
You know, I was shocked by the fact that there is actually a good number of Muslims who, or even in Muslim country, who have a Christmas tree during Christmas. For me, it was shocking. It was like,
Some
wow.
of our favorite soccer players, yes.
Yeah, some of these celebrities, they do it for political reasons.
Okay.
Not for believing in it. It's just showing that I am like friendly to other religions and stuff like that.
Does that become okay, Sheikh? That's the question. Because everybody might have political reasons why they do it. I do it at work for my political reasons.
See, so I think in certain circumstances might be allowed. Like, for example, I have no problem at all for a country like Egypt, where the Sheikh al-Azhar will, for example, wish a happy holiday or for the
10% population of Christians that
yeah,
exist.
I think, or in a country where there is a civil war between Muslim and Christians,
Lebanon,
or
Syria.
things like where things so tension. And I do this on behalf of my people to send a message that we need to live in harmony and in peace and things of that nature, or there is a need for that. It's not for itself, it's for other purpose. I might be lenient towards that. Or the leader, the president of the country will issue and make that a holiday, an official holiday for the country, even though the Muslim country, like in Syria or in
Maybe Nigeria or a place like that.
Yeah, recently in Syria they did that. For example, in Egypt, they consider this official holiday. That doesn't make them non-Muslim, or they did. In my opinion, that's accommodation. That's a respect. That shows a coherence in society. That's a bigger, higher goal.
Okay.
Again, you have to understand what's the level of these violations. What's the rule of this thing. Also, I would like to say, some people who feel that they are role model for people and stuff like that, it's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I wouldn't open that door, because that's a custom fatwa for a specific case, for a specific individual. But in general, no, you're not supposed to have a tree. Even the tree is something came to Christianity from a non-Christian's background.
Sure.
But
they're not doing the tree necessarily because it's Christian. They're doing the tree because it's Christmas. It's like it's a really powerful.
Yeah, but where this has to do with anything with Jesus or anything like that, or like, it's still the tree of hope, there is so much shirk exists in Christianity, believe.
Sure.
Other than just Jesus, Son of God.
Absolutely.
Which is praying to saint, praying to believing that when you hang your wish on a tree, it's going to come true. Some of them said, we saw those people have this tree, they hang their...
It's going to bless it.
It's blessed. And I go to some even Christian-based, like Methodist or like, hospitals here.
Hospitals.
And you go to the prayer area and there is a tree, you put your prayer on it, thinking that will somehow bless. And it's not surprise, even among Muslim at one point, they used to have trees. Shaykh Muhammad al-Wahhab rahimahullah, in his movement, one of the things that he did here, it was very famous story, and people were so mad and angry at him and his followers when they removed a very well-known a tree that people used to go to that tree and rub their back on it and they stay on it, thinking that the palm tree will bless them and will allow them to have children. And he ordered this to be removed. Umar radiallahu anhu removed the tree of Samura, where the bay'ah. Why? Because he was worried that some people will come and seek that tree to be a source of blast.
That was the tree where the Prophet ﷺ took the pledge of 1,400 companions, Bay'atul Ridwan, the pledge of Allah's
why
acceptance.
did he remove it? Because there is possibility of shirk to be
people coming back to that tree
and do things of that nature.
Yeah.
So
man, if that tree still existed, oh my goodness, everybody would have visited it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to the point, so all these practices of shirk, even if it does not has to do associated with the concept of Jesus, Son of God, or God, it's still its form of shirk and it's not allowed. You know.
Yeah.
So for Muslim not to do that, absolutely, we're not allowed to do anything of that. This is a pure imitation. That's a religious practice, even if Christmas has a lot of culture baggage in it, but still in very aspect there is a religious concept, and it's still associated in people's mind with Christ and stuff.
And it's not some small group like the Wiccans. It's the largest religion on earth.
Yes, I know. In Russia, in Egypt, they don't consider Christmas to be religious holidays for them, because it is not that Christmas for them is not
a
different day, but still concept of Christmas exists. Okay, so with this being said, I would say the following. We don't celebrate Christmas because that's not something that we believe in. But we didn't need to be the enemy of Christmas. And I mean by that, the enemy of Christmas, like some Muslims said or think that we should not allow them to celebrate Christmas. Or some countries, they might say, or some people said, like, you know what, I have in my work, in my office, a Christian secretary. She want to have her Christmas decorations in her office. Let her do it. That's her religion. I don't need to be the enemy of it. I'm not offended when I see a Christmas cup in a coffee shop. I'm not offended. That's their religion. That's their right to do.
So for example, if there's a company that happens to have Christian memorabilia or some sort of imagery, I'm not writing them emails telling them please remove it or anything like that.
No, that's their rights. As I want my freedom. We living in a secular society, and I mean by secular society, a secular society that respects religion. So as I want my religion to be respected, I should also respect other people's religions and practice of religion. And with this being said, there is area where there is, in my opinion, especially living in these days in Western culture, it has to have a nuance to it. Okay, so in AMJA, and Assembly of Muslim Jurists North America, we discuss a lot the issue of greeting. Can I say to somebody, Merry Christmas?
Yeah.
Or wishing you a happy Christmas,
happy
Hanukkah, things of that nature. See, we had a discussion about those. Part of the discussion was, some people said, when I say I wish you a happy Christmas or a happy or Merry Christmas, what's your intention? I'm asking you, if somebody said to somebody, Merry Christmas, have a happy Christmas, what's they're thinking about?
Merry Christmas. The honest answer is, I'm hoping that you have a good holiday.
What a good holiday means?
Good holiday means is that you got together with your family, you traveled, you came back safe, you enjoyed yourself. I'm not necessarily saying I hope that you went and worshipped other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at a church this weekend.
Nobody, most of the people, especially Muslims, they do that. Nobody in his mind, when he says that, okay, he think of it, you know what, I'm so happy that you prayed to Jesus today. I'm so happy that you renew your faith by you going to the church and praying to other than God. Nobody does it that.
Yeah.
You know, some people put others in that narrow corner and tell me, No, it's not allowed. Kufr. Why? It's haram. It's just, why? He said, because when you say that, it's as if you are approving and, reinforcing the shirk that they do. If this mentality is correct, that means when Uqba bin Amir, which is one of the fuqaha al-Sahaba who led the fatwa in Egypt, when he told a Christian person, one time there is an incident happened, Bukhari reported this in Arab al-Mufrad, and he said to Christians, alayka rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, then he was told he's a Christian. He said, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh lil Muslimin, but for you, أسأل الله لك يعني طول العمر وسعة الرزق والصحة. Something in that line. I pray for you to live longer and to have blessed children and wealth.
So he said to a Christian, he said, Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, peace be upon you and the mercy of Allah. And then he was told he was a Christian. So he said, may you have long life and expansive wealth and all that.
Because the mercy and the blessing should be said
for the
to
Muslims.
Muslims. But for you, I ask for you to live a long life, healthy life, have wealth and children. Can go back to that mentality?
Yeah.
Can anyone come and say, oh, this Sahabi was wishing him to live longer so he can make more kufr?
No.
To have more money so he can spend money in more haram?
No.
To have more children who become more kuffar? That mindset will understand that statement the same lens. Nobody does that.
Yeah.
Because in Uqba's mind, never thought that way.
He's thinking of every goodness, not every evil.
Yeah. And ironically, al-Bukhari followed this with another narration, okay, of another companion who said to also Christians, wa rahmatullah. He prayed, and al-Bukhari as if he wanted to say,
even rahmatullah.
Even rahmatullah can be. And Uqba's opinion about rahmatullah wa barakatuh, he meant the absolute rahmah and the absolute barakah.
In the akhirah.
In the akhirah. But you are allowed to say wa rahmatullah to them because he said, when I think Abdullah Mas'ud who was asked, he said, وَكُلُّنَا نَعِيشْ فِي رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. والشعبي also was asked and he said,
he's basically saying all of us are immersed in the mercy of Allah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Muslims and Muslims.
And
Shabi said, we're all enjoying the mercy of Allah.
Yeah.
Who can restrict it? So, in another word, if somebody said like, oh, you're praying for them to peace so they can make, nobody think that way. So when you say to someone, I wish you a happy holiday or a happy this or happy that, nobody think of it from the kufr. So that one argument. The other argument says, no, it still has a religious connotations. There is a blurry area. And also, we always been asked to be in the safe side. So in AMJA, what we said, I said, let's replace ambiguous greeting with clear one. Like, for example, I wish you a very good holiday. I wish you a good time with your family. I wish you a good weekend. I hope you have a good holiday. And the word Merry has a lot of religious connotations. We don't use Merry with other
Merry is
words.
never used for anything other than Merry Christmas.
So it has a religious connotation. So it should not be used.
I think Merry Christmas and Merry Go Round, like the carnival, that's the only thing that I can think of with Merry.
Yeah. So what that we say it's allowed for you to say, I wish you a happy holiday, happy,
It's too long of a sentence, Sheikh. It's like, Merry Christmas, I wish you a good time with your family. It's too long.
We have to have our own personality.
What about happy holidays? Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Yeah.
You just respond with that.
Yeah, happy holidays. There's no problem with that. And that's what AMJA came to and as a resolution. And I personally don't believe greeting is a participation.
Sure.
What Ibn al-Qayyim, for example, mentioned about, which is a lot of people use this, it's worse than eating pork and drinking alcohol.
So this is a statement of Ibn al-Qayyim where he said that greeting people is worse than committing zina on their holidays. Mushrikeen on their holidays is worse than zina. It's worse than drinking alcohol. And so people, I mean, it gets very popular every couple of years. It gets spread.
First of all, Ibn al-Qayyim is not hujjah in himself. Okay. His statement need to be backed up by proof.
From the Quran and Sunnah.
His statement is not a proof.
It's not an authoritative defining statement by itself, yes.
Yeah. But his respected scholars. But also, I want to say that he was talking about something completely different.
Okay.
He was talking about someone who greeting them قال يهنئهم بشركهم. And he is greeting them and congratulating them for the shirk that they do. So as somebody said, may God bless you in your prayer to Jesus today. May God bless your worship of some kind of, I don't know how you can say that, in a way that is clearly, I'm celebrating the shirk, the kufr that you do.
So let's say, for example, somebody sees a prayer in a church and he says, this is the most beautiful prayer I've ever seen in my life. Something like that.
Or Father bless me.
Okay.
Well,
that's a request for actual, he's engaged in that. He's not congratulating them anymore.
That's what worse than drinking and alcohol. And, even if we say greeting is haram, you cannot compare this haram. You cannot compare this haram to drinking alcohol and eating pork, which is by nas, there is a specific textual evidence that it's kabira min kaba'ir al-dhunub. Mal'oon, would drink alcohol. Even if you say greeting is haram. Unless Ibn al-Qayyim is not ignorant. He's a great scholar. Ibn al-Qayyim talk about kufr and shirk. Kufr and shirk is higher than the major sins. So definitely he doesn't mean just the greeting. He means the greeting that indicates shirk. So I'm just mentioning because every time people just keep quoting this a lot,
for sure. And
I want to clarify that. So I personally don't believe greeting is a participation in general. So if somebody say happy holiday, and again, even if we don't encourage the word, but even I personally, personal position, I'm not very strict even with the word Merry Christmas, especially if it's in a respond, and if it is something, it will be maybe in the highly dislike to do because it might have a form of connotation of imitation. In that realm, for me, it is not one of the clear. But I think in AMJA we should not do that. We should use and respect any collective opinion or ijtihad. I respect that. So I hope this just diffuse a little bit that kind of tension and people treat these issues with a lot of
Sheikh, let's talk about participation a lot more then, because there's a lot of different variables when it comes to Christmas. So number one is allowing, let's say for example, I have a shared space, and that shared space could be, for example,
May I interrupt you for a second before I forget my thought?
Sure.
I just want our viewers to understand something also. There's a huge difference between a lot of these fatawa and statements. Some of them are from traditional books of fiqh, written and said in certain time and circumstances different than our time.
Sure.
And I don't mean that, but the spirit and the thing around it can affect the language and how strong the language is and how it is used. Also, some of the modern fatawa in countries like Saudi Arabia, they don't have non-Muslims. So for someone to just a person in this area to bring or
who doesn't interact with non-Muslims
at all, and also these fatawa 50 years ago, Saudi Arabia now it's more open, more than it was 50 years ago or 30 years ago. So you have to take in consideration also that these circumstances and the environment because it impacts the language of the word. Also things. You don't want to open the door, so you became more strict. After the fact that it became a popular and you treated and you talk about it in a different language. So it's so important for people to understand these differences.
Contextualizing all of these things.
Exactly. And the one who can understand this perfectly and properly, scholars and students of knowledge, not the awam. That's why not just every activist, if the young student knowledge read this and come full force and give khutab and fatawa, ask Ahl al-Ilm and they will put it in its right positions and its right language and so forth.
Okay. So
come back to you. Sorry for interrupting.
No problem, Sheikh. That was a great clarification. When it comes to some of the practical aspects. So I have, for example, a workspace, or I'm an owner. I have employees, and then some of them are Christian. Sometimes you'll go into a restaurant in a Muslim neighborhood, Muslim area, everybody's Muslim, and you'll find a Christmas tree, for example, in that restaurant. Is that type of allowance, is that something that you would consider permissible?
No, I would not say that it's allowed for a Muslim to put a Christmas decorations and stuff like that if he is not for the public. I mean by public, like, 95% of my
Clients are
clients
Muslim.
and customers are Muslims. Like
Okay.
Bismillah halal stores and all Christmas like.
Okay. But let's say you're just a general restaurant.
No, in this case, maybe you are allowed to accommodate. I will not be as strict about it as long as there's no
I have employees that are
shirk,
Christian, for example.
shirk symbolic, like cross or
Don't put baby Jesus on the
yes, like
tree.
things of that nature.
Okay. But okay. So then there's the other aspect of just spouses. You have Muslim men who are married to non-Muslim Christian women, and they want to decorate the house. They want to do all of those types of things.
I mean, for her, if she owns a house, she has a
It's
share
his
in the
house.
house. Yeah,
But she's his wife, obviously.
Ulama rahimahullah said you're not allowed to prevent your wife from hanging her cross, to pray to. So if that's part of her culture, you can allow her to do that. Yes.
Okay. A lot of converts, Sheikh, struggle with navigating Christmas, and to some degree, if they're happen listening to stricter teachers or mashayikh or students of knowledge, even Thanksgiving might be a problem for them. But we've talked about Thanksgiving, so even specifically with regards to Christmas, what advice would you have for converts when it comes to going to Christmas, being present with their families during that time?
I'll show you a true story. Somebody called me, and he's a convert brother. And he said, Sheikh, I'm sorry to call you this late, but my mom in the driveway, he lives in Wisconsin, and it's snowing. And my mom, or his mother or his grandmother, I forgot, she's older, and she fall on the driveway carrying the Christmas tree. Can I go help her?
Oh my goodness.
Because that means I'm going to carry her tree.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate that he really cared about his deen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that mindset came as a result of that strict,
Yeah.
messages and making people see this is the most evil thing and as if it's haram for itself,
Yeah.
I said, absolutely, hang on, man, and go run, help your mom. She broke her back or her legs or her hand. I don't know. Just go help her.
Yeah.
You're not doing this because you intentionally want to celebrate.
Yeah.
I'm not spending the day together decorating, but she cannot help it. I'm just doing it. So if your family are non-Muslims and they have a Christmas dinner, go. You're not celebrating Christmas, you're celebrating dinners with them, time for family. As you said earlier, a lot of time Christmas has two aspects of it. Yeah, don't go with them to the church. Don't let the priest put the
wafer in your
cookie
mouth,
in your mouth,
yeah.
whatever it's called. But go to the dinner, have dinner with them, have a good time with them. You don't need to put your gifts in the tree, But for example, if you want to give them gift, give it before Christmas. And a lot of people do that, or after Christmas,
But Sheikh, it's like, yes, some people do and some people, but what if I have a family that's like, no, we have a are you in or out? We've got a Christmas registry. It's all of the family members have somebody. Then would you say, okay, keep
for a situation like this, like a person with non-Muslim family, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
You can do that. It's not haram for
You know why,
itself.
Sheikh? Because a lot of times, especially when people have recently converted to, they're still trying, their family's still trying to figure out who is this person now. And a lot of times converts end up burning bridges with their family when they first accept Islam. That takes them years for them to, if they ever do, right? That first impression of them as a new Muslim is all of these things are not
as long
allowed.
as they understand where I stand, where it comes from eternity, it comes from Aqidah, I understand. And I do this as part of culture, part of just connecting family. Absolutely. Don't cut ties. So what I will not be happy with, if if a Muslim family or not Christian or anything doing that, registering for
Yeah.
Christmas and stuff like that, that's a clear imitation, doing it for no reason other than the imitation.
Sure.
But for somebody who's a non-Muslim family, no. I'll give you also another example that
Can I take
came
them
to
to
me.
church, Sheikh? I need to take my mom to church on Christmas.
You can
or-
drop her off to the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the
Ash-Shafi'i
fuqaha-
allowed it.
Yeah, some of the fuqaha talk about that. Yes,
Hmm.
as long as you don't participate in the
service,
prayers
yeah.
and a prayer to other than Allah, you can observe outside, like wait for them to finish, stuff like that, or in the back, you know.
Make yourself useful some other way.
Yeah. So one of the thing is also giving like gifts, like
Secret
like
Santa.
like money,
Oh, okay.
like bonuses and stuff like that, and gifts to kids during Christmas, other than family members.
What do you mean giving gifts to kids?
Like some people will organize, for example, a toy drive
Okay.
during Christmas.
Yeah.
And things of that nature. I always say to the Muslim, many people asked me this question before. I said, let's do toy drive on our Eid.
Yeah.
He said, Sheikh, but it doesn't. Yeah, there's enough Christians to give gifts during the Christmas. I said, I don't think we should do that. You know, I think we should. I think we should, as Muslims, during the Eid, we do toy drives and stuff like that.
Sure.
And give in our aid to the society at large. But sometimes there is bonuses. It's very famous to give bonus through Christmas.
Yeah.
Can I receive this as Muslim? Yes, it's a gift. You can receive it if it's in your work. Can I give it to my employees? And is that called a Christmas gift to the employee? I think you're giving it this money to them because in Christmas there is a lot of expenses associated with it.
There's a vacation, even
Yeah.
if you're not.
So
If you're not.
Yeah,
Christian.
if I give my employee, an extra $500 in February or January 10th, then they already like the really expenses. That's why there is money giving in Christmas, So that's something to keep in mind. That, in my opinion, it is allowed for you to give these kind of, if you have employees or somebody working for you,
You give them their Christmas bonus.
Yeah. And these words, Christmas bonus, it meant the time, not the ritual or the actual itself.
Yeah. It could have
It's the
just been
season.
considered the end of the year bonus.
Yeah.
You could name it something else. What about Sheikh exchanging gifts? There's a lot of companies. It's just a culture of Secret Santa, exchanging gifts during Christmas. Do you have any issues with that?
If it's part of the culture of the, I consider all those part of the cultures in the halal realm.
Okay.
So
You consider it to be halal,
Yeah,
no
as
issues.
long as this is the culture of the.
People who are not Christian are participating. It's
Yeah.
no.
So everybody in the company doing that, that's fine.
Okay.
And if you want to avoid that, just not feeling comfortable, you just let them know.
Absolutely. Sheikh, how important is, I want to ask you, like, the spirit, because when we're talking about Muslims now, to come back to Muslims who are in and of themselves celebrating.
Just clarification, because
Yeah.
some question came to me about this extended gift.
Yeah.
Don't do it in a manner, just do it in a manner like if it's under the tree or like things like that, I wouldn't do that. But I will just, you have to talk to them. Also, we have to have our own personality exist as well as Muslims. And I want to be part of it. But there is one thing I can do, there's another thing I cannot do. And have this honest conversation with them. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's what actually I was going to ask you about, because there's something to be said about the spirit that the Muslim should have when it comes to this. Like, how important is the idea of Surah Al-Kafirun, La a'budu ma lakum dinukum waliya din? How is that meant to be presented during the holiday season, do you see?
I think it's more important for it to be recognized the year long. And I don't need to wait for Christmas to tell people that I don't believe in Jesus, Son of God. And the only time Christians talk about Jesus. It's not the most suitable time for you to talk to. You talk to your kids about it and your family about it. Just think it's very important. But for Christians, stuff like that, all year long, they should understand. I'm not a Christian. I don't celebrate Christmas. But it doesn't mean that I hate, You guys as workers or neighbors or anything like that, we live together in harmony and peace, you know? So that's just, for me, that's what it is. Just you have to have your identity as Muslim recognized and clear, you know? Even when I participate in gifts, my gifts, I'm not gonna put a Santa on it and round it and stuff like that. I don't do stuff like that. You know, I don't give like haram gifts. I don't accept haram gifts.
When you say you don't accept haram gifts, that's a great point, because a lot of times people, if they don't know, and you'd be surprised, Sheikh, I mean, no, you wouldn't be surprised, but people would be surprised how much people aren't aware of the details of what we might accept. So many times Muslims will say, somebody gifted me wine. What do I do with something like that? I can't accept it and I can't regift it. Am I not allowed to regift
You're not allowed
something?
to regift it.
If something's haram, it can't be regifted.
According to the majority of the fuqaha, yes, the only thing with the khamr is to spill it.
Okay.
But you said, I can't take it. If somebody else take it.
That's up to them.
Because gift will not be considered gift until you accept it.
Should I accept it because me spilling it is better than somebody else drinking it?
No.
Why not?
You don't have to.
Sheikh, that's very logical. Somebody else is going to get drunk off of it.
No,
I might as well take,
if I know
might as well take all of the khamr from
because
everybody.
if I know it's khamr and I accept it, that's a
Me
problem.
accepting something haram.
Yeah.
Do you feel like pork is different?
No, same thing.
So I don't accept pork.
Yeah,
or
I don't
anything like
accept. I don't accept cross. I don't accept men gold.
that. Men's gold, Sheikh.
Like a gold watch
Yeah.
or a gold haram for men to have.
Sheikh, it can be. It's still gold. I can figure something else out with it. I can
الفقهاء
get it melted.
رحمهم الله said, كل ما حرم
Yeah.
anything that is haram for you to use, you're not allowed to keep.
Mm.
As long as you're not allowed to use mutlaqan, in all form and shapes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Gold, I can melt it. I'll figure something else out with that gold.
If you melt it, that's fine, but
Okay.
you don't keep it.
So Sheikh, how about we just end with New Year's? Inshallah. A riveting discussion, Jazakallah khair. What do we have as far as New Year's? New Year's is worldwide, Sheikh. Muslim
you
country.
put us in too much trouble on this episode.
Sheikh, worldwide. It's global culture. You can't even say it's Muslim culture anymore. Everybody celebrates Ra's al-Sana, New Year's Eve. And it's the same date, obviously, every year. And it's half of the Ummah's birthday, mashallah. If you were born before 1970, chances are you were born on 1/1. So, what do you think?
New Year is a cultural celebration. It's not a religious celebration. It has no religious connotation to it or anything like that. It's just a culture, beginning of the year, mark the beginning of the year. I have no problem in saying Happy New Year. People recognize this special day,
Yes.
But absolutely wasting money and spending millions and millions of dollars, as we see in many countries, in fireworks, drones, stuff like that. That's just not allowed. That's a waste of money, not allowed. Also, any celebration in haram ways, like drinking or, mixing and dancing and stuff like that people do,
Sure.
that's haram, is not allowed. Participating in any form of celebration like that is not allowed. But you know what? In the company, we have some dinners. It's 1 year gone. Alhamdulillah, we are, 1 year closer to the end of Trump era. I'm happy.
The end of days. Allah Musta'an, Sheikh, he's going to run again. Don't worry.
It's just whatever you have, you want to say, it's up to you. However you're gonna look at it, I'm glad that this year gone. I'm planning for next year. I have some resolutions to do a new.
Yeah, I mean, you're marking time.
That's fine.
I was wondering about the argument of, because I heard this a lot of times, that it's a waste of money. If it was a waste of money, like, who decides that it's a waste of money? Like economists? Is it mashayikh? Is it
Sheikh, no doubt some of these celebration is $20 million, $100 million celebrations.
Yeah, but they make money off of it. That's part of the reason why they do it, is for sure the
I'm
gathering
not
of people,
sure.
the movement
Like
of
in the city
businesses.
of Houston, when we shoot, like, planes
Yeah.
in the sky, I don't know how we make money out of that.
I don't know either.
But
I'm
maybe
not like
we, the city you spend that's taxpayer money.
Yeah.
And okay, that's if you have a lot of money, but we have a lot of poor people. A lot of people don't have health care.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's other ways.
Some of these countries, like, spend 100 millions. What about giving these to all those poor countries in Asia and Africa and Europe and in South America? There's a lot of things need to be done, even in your own country. So but you might say, what about wasting money? What if I go and buy fireworks and I spend $100, $200 on a fireworks?
Yeah.
And do it. Would that be waste of money? If you're going to get in debt to do that, it's haram.
Of course.
If you are not fulfilling your obligations, it's haram. If you don't give sadaqah and charity but willing to spend stuff like that, that's not allowed. And it is shame on you to be doing that. But if somebody fulfilling all these areas, alhamdulillah, I'm wealthy enough to do, and I can spend.
And I love fireworks.
Love fireworks. This is entertainment for kids, and it's legal and it's safe. I do believe you paying for the entertaining is not a complete waste of money.
Sheikh, I forgot to ask one important question with regards to both Halloween and Christmas and any of these. Is it allowed for me to create alternative events in our masajid? Obviously, for example, in Clear Lake, we have Click or Treat, which is instead of people being there running around on Halloween, there's a program that's done in the masjid. That's fun for the kids on that day. What's the argument for that, the permissibility of it?
Recently, we received a question in the Fatwa Committee at AMJA. One of the masajid do a program like that, where for kids and family during Halloween. And everybody in the committee agree that this is a good idea for the masjid to provide an alternative, halal alternative, where people can have, fun, good time. Kids feel not, deprived from having fun. And it really resonates with a lot of young kids. So I think that's a good idea. In our masjid, we used to call it Click and Treat, and people object to the name and stuff like that, so we don't call it Click and Treat anymore. But I don't have a problem with the name. I think the name is good because trick or treat is not haram for itself. Again, it's just the mentality of just people think of it's like they treat it as if it's haram for itself, but it's not. But in any case, where we have a carnival, we don't allow costume, so we don't do the same thing that people doing in Christmas. We have another day in the year where kids bring costumes but do costume clothes. But we do a lot of activity, fun program for family and stuff like that. And kids have a lot of fun. They love it. So I saw it firsthand. And I think that's good. In Christmas, a lot of people do conferences for family to gather. A lot of us, we don't have a lot of our family members. So you know what? My community is my family. So we come together. A lot of Jewish community do the same thing in Christmas, where they gather and they do activity together as... So non-Christians, they do stuff like what we do as Muslims as well. We're not something unique for us. So
taking advantage of the holiday, even if we're not celebrating it, that we take advantage of the holiday by doing something that's alternative and engages your family or the community.
Absolutely. I think that's a great, I 100% support that. And I don't see any mixed messages. We're not celebrating Halloween. We're giving an alternative for our community.
Jazakallah khair, Shaykh Waleed, for this thorough discussion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and increase you. And looking forward to having you, inshallah ta'ala, for the next podcast very, very soon. We need to keep you coming, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much.
Ayakum Allah barik fi, Shaykh. Assalamu alaikum.